kill that, please? Stop the track.
Nerdtopia, yo, and we got a freaking podcast. Cruising in the speeder, bullseye, and flipping wombrats. Comics, video games, movies, real-life superheroes is what you can expect if you're wired to be weirdos. So we welcome all the newbies and the groupies, flashing boobies in the movies without cooties. In the show, it's got you drooling with this company, no fooling. Now presenting you your host is Steven of Cooking Doolin. Word, NerdtopiaCast.blogspot.com, Facebook.com/NerdtopiaCast, also YouTube and podcast 38 seconds.
Hey, what's happening, Nerdtopia? This is Doolin Dalton.
This is Steve Wareham.
Hey, and we're about to get down and nerdy.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm still recovering. I've switched the water out for the brown stuff this week, and not the interesting brown stuff, like straight up black coffee.
Right on, man. Right on. Yeah, you just pulled back in from Nerdtopia's hometown, Vero Beach.
Yeah. Went down there. Spent the better half of a week there. My nephew Blake just graduated from high school, and he's going to the Marine Corps in August. But just good kid, like, you know.
Okay. So Blake is whose kid is Blake?
My stepsister Marcia. It's her oldest son. And
okay, all right, okay, yeah.
One of these kids you dream about having. I mean, I remember when he was 10 or 11 years old. You know, he'd ask for cash for his birthday, and he'd save up like $400 or $500 and go buy something, you know, extravagant, and but just like, really, really smart, very sharp, very bright kid, has a good disciplined work ethic. He's going in the Marines and everything. So, my mom and my stepdad are big partiers, and they decided, oh yeah, and that's where I get my liver from. They decided to throw a big party for him. For his graduation, and there were about 75 people there over about 2 days. But we took a break from Friday night's festivities to go down and meet with some of our ilk at the Vero bowling alley to play some air hockey, and then we did some karaoke afterwards, which was amazing. Both were really, really fun.
Yeah, man, I saw the pictures in the news feed there, man. It looks like you guys had a great time.
Oh my God, it was. You've seen me in all different states of drunkenness and sobriety. Yeah, I can tell you this: it's probably the wildest time I've spent sober at a party. But it was a lot of fun, man. And I got home and realized how exhausted I was, and just laid down in the bed and passed out because we were moving the whole time. We had I think in any given point we had probably about 7 or 8 people there, but the roster continued to change as the night went on. People went home, came back, and so it was a blast. We had a really good time.
How late were you guys out?
We got together about 6. And then started in on the air hockey at about 7, and then went and did karaoke. So Erikka and I got back to the hotel room probably about 11:30.
All right.
Which is late for us old people.
Sounds like good time was had by all.
Oh yeah, it was late for us old people, but it was a great time, and we started out doing the air hockey tournament.
Sorry about that, guys. I've got a very whiny beagle dog, and anytime you try to move her out of the way, she screeches. So, anyways, can you edit that out?
Mojo, shut up! I'm talking about air hockey. Did she learn her lesson?
Yeah.
Rubber nose in the mic.
Yeah, no. She's out of the room now.
All right. So, anyways, we started playing air hockey, and of course, I'd been working and helping set up the party, and moving things and lifting things, and doing real man's work,
Right.
Putting some elbow grease behind everything. So, of course, I went there tired, and I probably wasn't as hydrated as I needed to be before we started the air hockey tournament.
And the sun was in your eyes.
It was. The sun was in my eyes.
There was a magnetic pull on the table as well.
Also, I had Tommy John surgery on my right arm a few years ago from a automobile accident.
Injury.
An
automobile accident from a football injury.
It was a hybrid football motocross game that we were playing in, and I was on the team without the cars, and I was hit in the shoulder by a 1987 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
And the Spanish Inquisition.
Yes, and the Jeep Grand Cherokee didn't make it. But anyways, and I had to go twice. Like, I went first and second, and I used the side of the table that like lost 80% of the games. If you were on this side of the table, 80% of the time you lost. So
I mean, statistically, it was stacked against you the entire time, man.
It really was.
You went in there, you weren't even supposed to win, really. It was like, that scene from Gladiator where they sent all the men in together chained up, and they were sent in to die. That was essentially that's to the extent of what you had stacked against you.
But being the good
soldier,
soldier,
you're a tough man, but you're no Maximus.
Oh well, I'm like a halfway Iacus. But being the good soldier and wanting to put on the show for the people, I went out there valiantly and lost two really tight games. The two people I lost to actually were the two people in the finals, and each came down to the final point, but it was double elimination, and so I dropped out kind of early, and that's pretty much all the story there is to tell. So we can talk about something else now. What do you want to talk about?
Are you well? Who did win, Steve?
Well, I choose to believe that there really are no losers.
Right,
in
right.
that
Everybody who played won. Yes?
Yeah, I think everybody came out a winner, and I think we're all better for it.
Okay.
And so I think that there were prizes that were given, but I don't really like to see things in terms of who's better, who's worse. I think just as long as we were all there and we all showed up and had a good time, that was important. And
but score-wise, I know there was a score, so I mean, not that it really matters, but who won more games than anybody else? Like, who stood out in this whole tournament where the points didn't really matter, but let's just say that we were keeping score. Who won the tournament, Steve?
Where we're really gonna do this? All right. Erikka won. Erikka won the tournament. And my wife.
Would that be Erikka Wareham?
Yeah. Well, now to be fair,
there wasn't another Erikka there.
No.
Okay, so this is your wife that beat you and everybody else at air hockey in front of God and everybody and Odin.
Well, now to be honest, like, number one, I taught her everything that she knows about air hockey, and then second, she had to play me. So I got her warmed up for the rest of the competition.
Right.
So
that was your win, really.
Right, and I was on the stacked side of the table. I mean, everybody that was there knows that side of the table was the side of the table that the air wasn't flowing right, because like if the air. No, I'm serious. If the air came through like if you're looking at a quadrant of 4, so you never eat soggy waffles. Like northeast. The northeast end of the table, like the air wasn't flowing, so the puck would kind of just not, and there were kids behind her playing the Terminator game, and I didn't want to hit it too hard, and then it flies up and hits one of the.
Skynet was at stake there, and you didn't want to mess that up.
Well, I didn't want to hit one of the toddlers, playing the game on the back of the head with the.
Toddlers played Terminator?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. There were young people there, so. But
also, what most people don't know is the Vero Beach bowling alley is actually built on an Indian burial mound.
Yes.
And so there's a cursed place upon it, because back in the 1800s, when a lot of settlers first came through that area, there was a man named Steve Jonas, and he was one of the pioneers, and he disturbed that burial mound, and so now there's a curse upon men named Steve there in that one particular section of the Vero Beach bowling alley.
Also,
just a little history lesson for you there.
Also, the Jonas Brothers played there, and they bombed the show. So, if you're a Steve or a Jonas, you really want to kind of stay away from that.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't know. Yeah, that's also kind of where they got their start. So,
at the Vero Beach bowling alley, which explains so much about the Jonas Brothers.
All right. So, one of the prizes that we announced, one of the prizes that we announced for winning the air hockey tournament was we were going to interview the winner live on the show.
Okay, great.
So she's here, and
well, I don't have any questions prepared. We can just kind of roll with it if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'll let you ask most questions.
So without any further ado, the 2012 air hockey tournament, with an asterisk, but I think we all admit, even you can admit, because when you did the 2 out of 3 with the championships, that was the side of the table you lost on. Correct? Was the side that you and I played against each other. My wife Erikka Wareham, right? Now back me up on this.
Okay, so I played 3 games
Right.
for the championship.
Okay.
And on we called it the north side and the south side.
Right.
North side was the winningest side, and I did play 1 of my 3 games in the championship on that side.
All right, so you, basically, if I could break it down into terms that our listeners might understand, you were on the Winterfell side, and then everybody else is on the King's Landing side, so to speak.
For my tournament matches, yes, it was a double elimination tournament. So I was on the winning side I was on the north side for most of the tournament. But when I went up against Joe, he graciously gave me the north side for the first game, and I won. And then we agreed to switch, and I played south side, and I lost. And then we did a coin flip for the third game, and like an idiot, I yelled, "Tells never fails," and of course it failed. And and Joe took the north side, and I took the south side, and I did end up beating him by 1 point. So I did lose on the south side, just like everybody else in the tournament who'd played on the south side lost. And then my final game, I did actually win on the south side, so I conquered the curse of the south side.
Now, and also you weren't Steve.
Well,
that helps.
Well, let's
because of the curse.
Right. So I have a couple of questions that I prepared for the winner.
Okay. Sure.
And so I was just gonna go ahead and ask them, and so this is your moment to shine, to absorb all the the warmth and sunlight that the internet has to offer, based on your tremendous feat of athletic skill and prowess. My first question is, would you describe my influence on your air hockey game as the strongest influence that you had going into this, or the greatest influence in your life?
Wow. Well, that's a really tough question, and a very good one.
Right.
And I think it's important to point out that you are a very major influence in my life. And although you did teach me your air hockey tricks.
That's great. So my next question, is, if you had to pick your most difficult opponent, I would say, piece for piece throughout the entire tournament, besides me, who would be your second place?
Oh, wow.
As far as who is the toughest to take down?
Well, I'll tell you what, everybody had some crazy mad skills, and I kind of prided myself on noticing when I started leaving holes open, and I started to notice that especially with Joe, that he took advantage of my weaknesses quickly. And so I had to correct just as quickly, and I definitely think that second and third game in the championship had a lot to do with that.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the fans out there who may need a little consolation, may need a little support after the tremendous upset of you, narrowly escaping my grasp in the second round? Is there anything that you can say to them to make them feel better?
I think everybody played a great game. Nobody held back, and I really appreciate that nobody felt like they had to take it easy on me, and I didn't feel like I had to take it easy on anybody else. We all played the best that we could, and it was an off day for some, and others were flying high. That's just how it is, and I can't wait for the rematch.
One last question. So, would you say that there were times during this air hockey tournament where the spawn that you carry in your belly of mine really kind of dug deep and brought it home for Team America?
Yeah, he stayed pretty quiet the entire game.
Would you say that that's probably because he was busy?
Sleeping. Yeah, he was probably busy
plotting
sleeping.
Plotting strategy.
Because he's not even born yet.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Erikka Wareham, 2012 air hockey champion.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for tuning in on ESPN 8, the Ocho. That's going to do it today for Nerdtopian's coverage of the annual air hockey tournament. Thanks for joining us, and now a word from our sponsors.
I do also want to thank all the other participants. Chuck Stahlheber, of course, Kenny the Crimson Bolt Hewling.
How did you get the name Crimson Bolt? When that's new. I've been friends with Kenny for years.
I just gave it to him.
I'm not aware of this. Oh,
yeah,
no.
Okay, yeah, I called him about a million different things.
Okay.
Let's see who else played. Joe, the tremendous Joe with no E, who came in second place. I don't think Tiffany played, but of course she was there as well and was very supportive throughout the entire time. Got a lot of video. Reed was there as well. Am I leaving somebody out?
Chuck and Tiff.
Yeah. Reed,
Joe,
Kenny.
Amanda.
Oh yeah, Amy Lindstrom was there, which was nice. It was always nice to see Angela there. She was a she certainly was kind of a spark plug and a real dynamic person, and we appreciate
she's a doll.
Ampersand Lindstrom being there and really giving it her all. My one true regret is that I never did actually get a chance to face Doris Lindstrom one-on-one.
Doris, we've gone down to Doris now?
Yeah.
We're changing.
I ran out of A's.
Yeah,
I ran out of A's.
Like Alabaster or something for that when you jump from Ampersand to Doris.
Yeah, I ran out of A's, so I just went with the tiny name.
Don't forget that Katie did join us later.
Katie did, yeah.
Katie, which Katie?
Katie Smith.
Okay, you know this girl.
Yeah, joined us later for karaoke, which is a whole nother story altogether.
Tune in next week.
Yeah, well, we might as well get all this stuff out of the system, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been posted yet. I know that I've got a ton of audio still to go through and cut for the post on the show that there's no way for me to get it done on time before we did this, but we had a blast doing karaoke. Tiff got out, and she's got an awesome voice, man. She got out there, and she just started going.
I heard her.
And I'm like, you know what, forget it, because no one else is kind of doing anything. Amanda went up and did some Christina Aguilera or something. And and I'm like, you know what, we're about to kick the doors off this. So I went up and I did Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, my God. I mean to tell you, you have to sing that from your sinuses. And it was the worst rendition of Welcome to the Jungle you'll ever hear in your entire life. It was like cats scraping their claws down chalkboard while chipmunks are blowing each other in a public restroom. I mean, it was
very descriptive.
Yeah, it was the worst sounding rendition of that song ever. And then later, Chuck Stahlheber and I went up and did a rendition of Mbop.
Oh God.
Yeah, and then
please tell me there's video of.
Oh yeah, and then and then Samantha Lindstrom
realized that.
Yeah, there is somewhere. I'm sure.
Can we please play a clip?
We're gonna have
from that
version of Mbop. We're gonna have to link it because I don't have it. We'll cut it. I don't have it. I don't have it directly, and it's gonna take a while for me to get it downloaded, but it will be up at some point soon. Yeah, we'll make sure those get posted.
All right, fine. I guess I'll wait, but I expect to hear Steve Wareham and Chuck Stahlheber's Mbop.
Well, of course, I don't care. I'll do anything for attention. So I got up there and I'm like, no. I said, all right, look, I'll back you up. I know the Mbop part, but I don't know much else. So I kept putting the mic in Chuck's face. I'm like, all right, Chuck, let's sing. And he didn't know the song either, and he's a real low singer, so the mic wasn't picking up his voice at all. Actually, there was a dead mic. He was singing into a dead mic for the first 30 seconds of the song.
God.
I'm like, all right. So, at parts it was just us going, heads mbop, and tell me that you're going mbop. It was a mess, but it was a lot of fun, man. We had a great time.
Very good, man. I'm glad to hear you guys had fun.
Yeah.
Excellent. How else did your trip fare? Did it treat you pretty well? Drive back?
Yeah. I mean, it was a pretty easy drive going there and going back. We had, my parents are in their 50s, and all their friends are kind of in their 50s, but they were all party buddies down together in Lauderdale for a real long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they rented this place out, and I'll give them a huge shout out because they were awesome. Sportsman's Lodge in Sebastian. They rented out most of the rooms there were people with the party and everything. So Saturday night, there were, they had pretty much a completely open bar. Everybody made food, and they got a live band there, and the weather was perfect. But the band's out there playing classic rock, and the one thing I've always been fascinated with is watching, white people dance. So it was
entertaining. I'll give you
oh
that.
my God, it was, and then of course they all had been drinking for several hours at this point. So you've got 75 75 white people between 40 and 55 out on the dance floor just going nuts to classic rock, and that night was probably the most fun I've spent sober in a really long time. So it was it was a lot of fun. I was telling Erikka, I said you don't realize how fun it is to be at a party sober until you actually are at a party sober, and I've got more experience on the other end of that fence. So it was it was hilarious. It was so much fun to watching your mom get out there and get down and stuff. It was pretty classic. So we had a great time.
Well, badass, man. That's awesome. Glad you had so much fun. I think next time you go down, we're going to be due down for a road trip. Maybe just me, you, and the wives. We head on down there to Vero Beach for a couple of days. Make a little vacation out of it.
Oh, we did something, and I was just checking on the schedule for something, but there was something last year that I had missed around the same time in June. There was a get together. So we did a get together last year in June, and then a get together this year in June. So it's starting to kind of become an annual thing. So maybe we'll do something next year. Around the same time. Maybe we make it bigger and better now that more people are going to show up. So,
all right, man, badass. Looking forward to it. And then, of course, let's not forget about the next Nerdtopian gathering. It's going to be a little bit closer to our backyard as opposed to Vero Beach, but we've got our tickets. And once again, we've got Dragon Con coming up last weekend of August, first weekend of September. And we're going to have a good time out there, and we're going to do probably a roundtable special episode with any of our Nerdtopians that come out there. We're going to let you guys sit in on an episode with us.
Oh, dude. I got, for my Father's Day gift, my kids got me my costume for Dragon Con.
Oh, really? What did you get, sir?
It is a 1978 Black Sabbath U.S. tour concert T-shirt, the exact same one that Robert Downey Jr. is wearing in the scene with Loki, where he does So they got me that for Father's Day, and I wore it out to the tournament, and so that will kind of complete the costume once my the 7 hairs on my head finish growing back out, and I can do the hair. But I Iron Manned up the beard and everything, man. So
awesome.
It's gonna be a go. It's gonna look good this year.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna drop the Cyclops thing. Just because I don't really want to put together 2 costumes, and I'm gonna finish working on my Bizarro Superman, and that's gonna be my big go-to this year. Is I'm gonna do this Bizarro Superman costume. So that's what I'm gonna be rocking there this year.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just because we've got so much going on, not only with the show but with the site and with everything else that Eric and I have going on with the baby, I'm going to have to lazy my costume on again this year. But at least I've got the actual shirt. I'm going to upgrade the arc reactor, and then and that'll be pretty much it. So, it was pretty cool last year because of the look and everything. I got recognized a lot, and I had a couple people take pictures of me, even though we just pretty much went through line because we couldn't stay that long. But so that was kind of a cool feeling, to not be wearing so much of costume. People were like, I want to get my picture taken with Iron Man, which is pretty neat. So I think I'm going to do that again.
More kids want to take. More people wanted to take their pictures with my kid than with me, man, because he was all cheated up last year, and it was a badass little costume that Jen made for him.
Oh yeah, he was definitely one of the big attractions for sure. And as a matter of fact, I think to be completely honest, more people wanted to take their pictures with him than they even did Jen, and Jen was a splitting image of 7 and 9. Yeah. So he was getting more attention than her, and he was eating it up big time, every little bit of it. So
yeah, we're gonna have a good time out there this year.
Yeah,
looking forward to it. So if you guys are listening to this and you haven't got your tickets yet, or if you just want to come out and hang out with us for a day or something, just give us a shout out on the Facebook page or to our email or whatever. So you want to go ahead and get started?
Let's do it.
All right, man. NerdtopiaCast, man, go ahead and make our big announcement. I mean, we announced it in the Facebook group Nerdtopia and on our Facebook page. That's for our close immediate friends. But if you're out there on the internet somewhere, maybe on Stitcher, or you subscribe to us on iTunes, and you guys don't know, go ahead and tell them, Steve.
We are the proud owners of www.nerdtopiacast.com, and we got the blog out. Yeah, we got our own domain, and it's, man, I tell you what, it's certainly been a cool experience. I took a look today at the how that's changed as far as our total exposure and people kind of getting to know the site and things like that. And there's it's definitely a much bigger spike. So to have that out there and to have it just kind of be our own place to kind of expand, where people can develop profiles and write articles and contribute and make this whole thing bigger is exciting to me, man. So yeah, we kicked the doors open last night, and it has been going along. And the first couple weeks, there are going to be some some changes to the interface and stuff, but we wanted to go ahead and I'm of the mind that it's never going to be as perfect as we want it to be, and we'll sit there tinkering with it until everything is just right, unless we go ahead and open it up. So we opened it up last night, and man, it's been cool. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and we're going to have lots of fun content on there for you. We've got some very amazing, very talented guest writers that are going to be writing there. I've got a very interactive web series I'm going to be doing on there called Versus Series. Chris Hall's going to be doing movie reviews. Sarah Lynn is going to be cranking out some of her gaming articles on there. So whatever your realm of nerd is, we're going to have something in there for you.
Yeah, and we've already started getting an influx of requests to do some guest blogging and write some articles and everything, and that's what it's all. I mean, eventually, what I want that to be is something where we all contribute to it. And it's just, I mean, it's we do our thing, but there's so much user-generated content that we can update with something new every day, something fun to read every day, something thoughtful, thought-provoking, And one of the things that I really wanted to do when I started this kind of journey, actually, I would put, I would lump all this together back with, an experience I had about a year and a half ago starting a movie. Is that I realized that nobody does anything that I mean, people create content, but it seems to have lost the ability to provoke any thought. Nobody presents anything out there that's thought provoking, or the humor out there is just so none of it's rich. And then I look at people like Charles Baserap, where the entire flow of the way that he writes is so rich. And yeah, there's humor in there, but it's kind of mixed in with message, and it's mixed in with actual, opinions, and has some real cultural relevance. I think everybody that we've got involved writes that same way. So, there are a lot of people out there basically force feeding you guys content. We have 1,000 channels on cable, and there's nothing to watch. Right. Don't believe me, go on Netflix right now, go on Hulu right now, and try to find something that looks so interesting that you can't wait to watch it. It's not there. So the quality of the content has gone down, but the amount of content being generated has gone up. And, a couple of years ago I said, you know what, this is stupid. It would be better off me using a crappy camera and filming a bunch of people with a good script that knew what they were doing than watching these, multi-million-dollar budgeted films that were vapid and there was no substance behind it.
Michael Bay.
Yeah, exactly, right? So that was kind of the impetus behind the podcast. I said, I listen to stuff all the time on the radio, and it's just so, there's nothing behind it. It's just this wall of words, and there's no depth to it. And I said, you and I can get on a microphone and talk to each other every week, and we can have conversations with depth, and people will listen to that because that's what they're not getting. And that's been my idea behind the website as well. I want people who aren't just putting words up there. I want people who feel strongly about something, passionate about something, have the ability to make you laugh, make you think, move your emotions around, and I want that kind of content on the website. I don't care who does it, but I think, it's time for us to kind of rise up, take our place, and start giving people, it's like you can eat McDonald's every day for the rest of your life, but you're going to be fat and unsatisfied. You know what I'm saying? Yeah,
well, you can eat. Your life won't last very long.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can go out and eat as much bad food as you want, but you're not going to get any nutrition out of it. So you can go out there and read a bunch of the same articles with 2 or 3 different words here and there that have no message and have no meaning or have no real sense of rich humor to it. Or you can go on a website like the one that we're going to put together, read one article, and go back and reread it again and reread it again and reread it again because it's written so well by people who care about what they're doing, care enough about the stuff that they write about that they just fucking do it. So that was kind of the impetus behind that. I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of everybody, kind of throwing their hats in the ring and helping us build it together, brick by brick. And this is exactly what we set out to do. So, super excited.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're doing it, absolutely. Yeah. So that's NerdtopiaCast.com. That is our domain. If you haven't checked us out, go check us out. See what's up there for you.
And make sure you register. There is a place on the bottom right-hand corner of the site where you can log in and you can register. If you register, of course, that gives you a profile, allows you to go on and make comments on anything, and that also is a real good way for us to get to know you and start accepting your requests to do guest blogs and things like that, which is totally what this whole thing is about. So, like I said, this is a way for you to get your voice out there, your opinion out there, have it seen and heard and read by tons of people that are just like you, make some friends, and actually make some genuine connections instead of, tweeting or, little 30-second Facebook blurbs that, people just skim over and it's not reaching the audience you want to reach.
Right. Yeah, I've had that problem with some of my writings in the past. I throw it up there on Facebook and it gets no recognition at all. So I'm going to take some of the things that I've Facebooked, some of the failed series that I've tried to do, and bring it over here, and I'm sure there it's going to find its audience. And the same can be said for you. If you find yourself, you're just writing your notes, and you're not finding an audience with it, approach us, man. We'll be happy to we'll credit you, and we'll throw your content up there for you. Maybe you'll find what you're looking for.
And it's going to be a real wide variety of stuff. Of course, what we're doing, and it's mostly, related to nerd culture and nerd lifestyle and things like that. I mean, that's generally, kind of what we want to put out there and what our audience wants to read. But a lot of the things that I'm going to be doing, I have, my own little spot on there to post the things that I want. And, some of them will be funny, but some of them won't be. One of the things that I kind of get off on is being really open about myself and about my life and showing people, giving people kind of a glimpse inside my head and giving them a real honest look at, the way that I see things. And they're not always real funny, man. There are some that, I put out there. One of the things, and we'll get into this stuff in depth a lot later, and certainly a lot more on the website. But I've had some issues with alcohol. I've joked about it a lot, but it's a real thing. And that's one of the things that I like to write about. It's catharsis for me, but I've also talked to people who it's really helped. So there's going to be stuff like that on there, man. It's just going to be, it's going to be a place, a repository of really, really rich content, no matter what your flavor is that day. So we invite you to look at it. We invite you to contribute, but definitely register, subscribe, and become a part of it because it's gonna be something special.
Fantastic, man. Glad to hear it. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get rolling. So yesterday, of course, was Father's Day, and you said your daughters gave you a nice little gift.
Yeah.
So that kind of prompted me to. I started thinking about, I just spent a week with my father. My parents were up here from Florida while you guys were down there, and I spent a week with my father. And my father and I are very close. And that got me kind of thinking about, what other men have had an influence in my life? Because a father, is a man who raises you, but there's other men that kind of come into your life and they teach you a little bit something about life. That maybe your father, didn't think to teach you or didn't leave with you. So
like Bagger Vance.
What's that?
Like Bagger Vance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like the game of golf, like the game of life.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So I prepared a little thing called My 10 Dads. I'm going to share with you, 10 men, aside, apart from my father. My father's a great man. We're still very close to this day. Did a great job raising me. Not take any credit away from him. But these are other men that have kind of come into my life and taught me little things. All right, so I'm gonna go through the top 10 countdown with you. These are my 10 dads.
Go for it.
Going down at number 10, I'm gonna give a shout out to Carl Winslow. Carl Winslow, he was a family man, Steve, and he taught me the ways of patience and how to embrace even the most annoying of nerds. So I'd say because of him, I've got a little bit more patience in the nerd community.
Go home, Steve.
Yeah, go home, Steve. Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, man, he'd still embrace Steve with a hug. Number 9, we'll shout out to Bill Cosby, a.k.a. Dr. Huxtable. He was one of my dads growing up. He taught me that chocolate cake is good for breakfast.
And the jello with the pudding. And the rap music with the kids and the things.
Exactly. Coming in at number 8, I got LeVar Burton. LeVar Burton, he's the man, of course, who, as you know, hosted Reading Rainbow, and he taught me the importance of literacy, Steve.
So basically what you're saying is you were raised by a bunch of black men?
Well, so far.
Okay, fair enough. No, I mean, I'm good with that.
What are you trying to say? What's on this, Steve?
Nothing. Hey, I've always said this too. My goal in life is to become an old black man. That's all I want to be. Because you never
walk in like, hey there, how y'all doing today?
Oh yeah, but that's the point.
Man, it's about change.
I think that's the thing, and I grew up in Lauderdale, and I think I joke about this all the time, but it's kind of true. I was about 10 years old before I realized I wasn't Cuban. I mean, I didn't realize there was any sort of difference between races and things like that. That's just because it was all around me. And but the one, as you get older, you start noticing the differences, and I'm kind of a more sunny side up type dude.
Right.
So the one thing that I've noticed is there is a disproportionate number of happier older black men than there are older any other race. So it seems like, and this is, of course, this is a form of racism, pretty much. I mean, it's happy racism.
It's a positive racism.
Yeah. But because I'm basically attributing this to an entire race of people. But it's it seems to me the older that men get, black men get disproportionately happier than any other race. So I've always said my goal in life is to become an old black man.
Yeah,
because they're always fucking.
I think that's a good goal. We all have.
Yeah, they got the world on a string, man. All right, go ahead.
All right, number 7. Speaking of old men, Mr. Rogers, man, he was one of my dads.
Okay.
Mr. Rogers, he always gave me a friendly ear, man. He encouraged my creativity, and he'd want to hear what I had to say.
All right.
And he's always changing sweaters, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Taught me the importance of that. Number 6, I gotta give a shout to my man, Professor Xavier.
Okay.
He taught me that it's okay to be different, Steve.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. I learned that from Professor X. Number 5, I gotta give thanks to Pee Wee Herman. Because he's taught me that, hey, you don't have to grow up. But he also kind of taught me an important lesson about what not to do in public.
Hey, Doolin.
Yes, Pee Wee. You're under arrest. Hey, you are, what am I? I'm gonna give a quick thank you to my dad, He-Man, my father from another grandmother. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Okay, that was He-Man. You have to thank He-Man because He-Man taught me that no one's gonna make fun of what you wear if you're wielding a legendary sword of power, and I think that's something we should all aspire to do, is to find a sword of power and just, like, hey, you're going to make fun of me for wearing a man thong and knee-high boots? Fuck off.
I didn't have so much of a problem with it.
I've had a problem many a times when I've gone out wearing my man thong, my furry man thong and knee-high boots.
I think if you had the haircut, though, I think you'd probably be like, I think
complete with the bangs and.
Oh yeah, I mean there would be, you know, I think the demographic that you would be attributed to would have a major problem with that. It'd be like, no. I mean,
standing outside the manhole cover, you know?
Yeah, they'd be like,
to get in.
Yeah, they'd be like, no, I'm sorry, we can't let you in with that. We're very gay.
Yeah, really, motherfucker? By the power of Grayskull. They're like, what the hell are you doing? You're just standing there with a toy fort.
Look, we're very gay friendly on this show.
You're just gay.
And again, I'll say this, and it's my goal to put this in every single episode. I am a shot in the mouth away from being gay myself. I think honestly, like the LGBT community would have a serious problem with you wearing that haircut, man. They'd kick you out of the club real quick. Be like, we gotta invent a new category for you. You're not part of LGBT. You'd be, you know, Q for questionable fucking judgment. Get away, you know, with your Nancy Pants.
Is if I carried a sword of power, it would be different, and that's what He-Man taught me. Because nobody ever ridiculed him, Steve.
All right, fair enough, man.
And that's because he was the hero of prophecy. That's all I'm saying. And he carried a sword of power.
The hero of prophecy was Christopher Walken, wasn't it? No, that was the Omen.
Was he? No, I don't think. Was he the hero? I thought he was the villain. I never saw it. I don't know.
Well, it depends on which side of the fence you're standing on.
That's true. All right. No, coming in at number 2, Optimus Prime.
Okay.
Optimus taught me the ways of leadership, bravery, and how to turn myself into a truck. You've never seen me do that before. I don't do it very often. But anyways, yeah, I learned that from Optimus. And finally, coming in at number 1, I gotta thank my curmudgeon-y dad, Oscar the Grouch.
Okay, fair enough.
He taught me urban survival.
That's good. There are some I think you left some really important ones off of that list, man.
We can have honorable mention, man. Throw it out there. Who else? Who would you say has been a father figure in your life?
Fucking Alfred.
Yeah, okay. I mean that goes without saying.
Mr. Belvedere. Wesley. The Grimace.
Nothing can kill the Grimace.
Exactly, and that's teaching you to be fucking unstoppable. And then Master Splinter.
Master Splinter was a good father. I'll give you that. He was a good dad.
And fucking Zoran.
And Zordon was a racist motherfucker, dude.
Yeah,
I took nothing from Zordon.
Well, but he also told you.
He was lazy too. He just hung out in his little mason jar and let teenagers go do all his work for him.
But he taught you how to delegate responsibly.
He didn't delegate shit. He
did too. He's like
a white boy. He put a white boy in a red costume and said, "Here, you do it, or I'll just let you know when there's trouble."
Well, but he later corrected it and put a white boy in a white costume.
Yeah, you have a white boy in a white costume and a black man in a black costume and a girl in a pink costume, and let's put the Asian person in a yellow costume. That shit was racist as fuck. Steve.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, everybody has lessons that he taught you. He taught you what you didn't want to be. He was your racist dad that you're like, oh, Dad, you just don't know. And then you have a heart-to-heart with him on their deathbed, and they're like, I should have seen things through your fucking eyes. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think they did that in the movie, didn't they? In the Power Rangers movie, he's on his deathbed or something.
Was he on his deathbed in the Power Rangers movie?
I think so, yeah. That very terribly made movie.
Yeah. Also, I had one and it's gone.
Oh, it's all
We'll
right.
come back to it. I'll remember it.
Fair enough, man. Well, I got a little bit of movie news for you.
Okay.
First of all, Superman, Man of Steel. It's gonna hinge on right now since Avengers has made so much money. Of course, DC Comics has been quick to throw. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna do a Justice League movie.
Right.
We're gonna do that now." And they're saying now that Man of Steel is gonna be kind of the movie that launches that franchise. But here's the problem, man: is they're rushing it. Like, I don't know how much you know about the making of Man of Steel, but they had a lot of copyright issues. I don't know if you heard a whole lot about the lawsuit that took place between Warner Brothers and then the family of the creators of Superman. I mean, they've since passed, but their families have sued for the rights of Superman.
Right.
So there's been a lot of changes to the story, and you know, there was that issue with, you know, he's not wearing the red underoos now, and the Superman origin itself has taken on a totally different light. So they basically changed a lot to see what they could get away with to keep the Superman name, but still make the story different. And they are rushing it in there to try to get the movie finished before all this legal stuff happened. And as a result, they started filming it before the script was even completed. So it doesn't bode well, man. And now they're going to try to hinge that on this new Justice League movie, and to do that, they're going to have a Batman reboot. I don't know when the movie's coming out, but you know, they're going to have a Batman reboot. They're going to have a Green Lantern in there somewhere. I don't think they're going to put the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern in there, which means they'll have to reboot that. So DC Comics is trying to cash in on this, man, but they're not doing it. They're not being very intelligent about it, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I think the problem with Green Lantern was more in the it was not a great superhero movie, but I don't think it was a bad superhero movie. I agree
100%.
Yeah, I mean, coming from, you know, we've seen bad superhero movies. Ang Lee's Hulk was a bad superhero movie. This wasn't bad. I think the biggest problem with the Green Lantern was the marketing. I don't think that it was marketed very well. I think that you took kind of a, you know, if you're talking your A-tier mythos kind of characters, you're talking Batman, you're talking Superman, I would put Wonder Woman up there. I would put the Flash at like a 1A because I think he's had more exposure. But a lot of people who are all Marvel heads, you know, don't really get that much into the Green Lantern lore and mythos. And so one of the things that I think that Marvel has done such a great job in is taking some of those B-level characters and putting them up to A-level characters. I mean, you know, there are not a lot of DC people who knew a lot about, you know, Thor's lineage, or knew a lot of necessarily even about Iron Man's lineage. Right. So I think that was kind of DC's problem to begin with. It wasn't necessarily the content. And granted, the movie could have been written so much better. The script could have been so much better. I don't hate Ryan Reynolds, you know, in the cast.
He did a pretty good job. Like, I didn't hate the movie.
But I think that, you know, I think all in all, like, if you want to do this and you want to rush it and you wanted to get it out soon, you need to go ahead and figure out a way to get Christian Bale in there. I don't think he'll do it.
I don't think that's going to work for that movie though, because Christian Bale's Batman is a very gritty, very realistic take on Batman, and he's not going to mesh well if you put him in a superhero universe.
But by the same token, Batman is a character in a superhero universe anyway. You're not, you know, I mean,
but not Nolan's Batman though. He did it different. He doesn't, you know, he's gone on record to say that you will never see a superpowered character in his universe.
Well, but you can still transfer one to another, and maybe everything else goes a little bit darker. I mean, that's like saying, you know, that's the one thing that DC's done. And done well, as far as, you know, movies have gone since the first Batman. So, you know, if that's what's working for you, why not take? I mean, that's the strongest element that they have to bring to the table at this point. Why not figure out a way to adopt that element to what you're trying to create, instead of saying we're just going to leave this over here and not use anything good that it's created, right. No positive spin towards the new franchise. You know, so that's like taking your best part. You're the most reliable piece you have to an engine and saying, you know, just because it doesn't fit in the scheme, I'm not going to try to use it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you got to reverse engineer from that piece. So I would figure out a way to get him in it, and I would figure out a way to get Reynolds in it, and then I would, you know, that would give you more time to spend on Superman and Wonder Woman, and then you could create the Justice League from there.
Well, fair enough, man. I think that they've already announced they're going to reboot Batman, though, so we'll see. I don't know if he's going to get his own standalone movie, or if they're just going to recast Batman and then throw him in this Justice League movie.
There's going to be so much. There's going to be that's going to go. I'll tell you right now, that's going to go so poorly.
You're predicting fail for the Justice League project?
Not necessarily, but I'm predicting it as a fail based on rebooting Batman, because you're already taking a franchise that's, you know, really kind of been rebooted. I would say the Kilmer and, you know, the Kilmer Batman, the Clooney Batman, you put them in the same boat. but there's a big disparity between the Keaton Batmans and them. So this should be and then you have the TV one. And then you could almost count. So you're talking about a character that's been rebooted in some form of motion picture visual media 4 times already, and 2 of those have been good reboots. The animated series was a great reboot, and the Nolan Batman was a great reboot. So, you know, you're
those are both very good reboots.
Yeah,
I love the animated series.
Oh, the animated series is classic, and it stands. I mean, I would argue that it holds its water, especially with the true comic book fans. It holds its water with the Nolan.
You might be onto something there, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you might be onto something because they took the animated series. That animated series kind of spawned because they used that Batman. Not only put him in the Superman TV series, cartoon series, when that started a couple of years later to kind of get that off the ground, and then from there that started the animated Justice League series that ran for like 3 seasons, if I remember correctly,
right.
And then they tied that in with the Batman Beyond universe as well. I think there was actually an episode where they went to the future to see, Bruce Wayne and the Batman Beyond universe. So that all kind of hinged on that Batman animated series reboot from like the early to mid '90s. So they might. You're right. Maybe they could do it, although I don't think they're going to.
No, I think it's a pride thing, and I think that's going to end up being kind of what ends up, screwing over the franchise and what Marvel doesn't have. Marvel didn't have that pride factor going into it. It was all kind of, we're going to try this stuff out. We're going to see, what fits. They were kind of throwing things against the wall, and they did it all the right way from there. But DC is going to have to swallow their pride to do that kind of stuff. I don't see them doing it. Of course, they're not swallowing their pride right now because the New 52 isn't going where it needs to go, and they're going to continue to drive that into the ground. So you don't innovate, and your product ends up sucking. So I hope I'm wrong.
Steve, the day that DC goes under, and they just go ahead and sell my favorite characters to Marvel, and then I can just because Superman's always been my golden boy, and I've always loved the Batman comics, but despite that, I've always been kind of a Marvel guy at heart.
Yeah.
If you put those guys, you take Superman and Batman, and maybe members of Justice League, put them in the Marvel universe, I have no reason to ever pick up a DC comic book ever again.
Yeah, I've gotten progressively more into the Lantern mythos as the past couple of years have rolled on. So right. If you throw him in there, so if you've got Lantern, you've got Superman, you got Batman over there, then I'm with you 100%. And unfortunately, those main characters are the ones who tend to kind of suffer the most. And so I don't see this going unless they swallow their pride and make some big smart moves. I don't see this going in a positive direction.
Agreed, man. We'll see. Time's going to tell. I guess we'll find out. Our first glimpse of that is going to be when we finally get out there next year to see Man of Steel, and we'll see how it does. It's all kind of up in the air right now. I'm reserving judgment, but I don't know if I can. I'm speaking like a true fanboy, and I realize that, but I don't know if I can handle another letdown after Superman Returns, man. I waited so long to see Superman back on the big screen, and then I saw it back in 2006. I saw it, and I was in denial for so long about how terrible that movie was. Like, I was walking out of the theaters, and my friends were like, "Hey, Dylan, what'd you think of it?" I was like, "It was good. It was good. I liked it a lot. It was good. It's really good." And 2 weeks later, they're like, "Really, Dylan?" I'm like, "No, really. I like Superman Returns. I like it." And finally, a month later, they're like, "Really, Dylan?" I'm like, no, it was pretty bad.
It was bad.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that they take this in the right direction.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
I got a couple more little news pieces I want to throw out there before we get to another segment that I had planned for today. How are we doing on time?
We're running a little long, but we're okay.
Yeah, you know what though? It's our fucking show.
That's
so
right.
Yeah. So so there's that. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle news. I don't know if you remember a while back, Michael Bay had kind of caught some heat from the fanboys.
Yes.
He had come out and announced that they were going to make it Ninja Turtles from space, basically.
Right.
And that really angered a lot of the internet community because their thing was, hey, this isn't the Turtles that we grew up with. Now, granted, a lot of the Turtles we grew up with was from the comic, or not the comic book, the cartoon series, and that was very campy and corny, but it was kind of geared towards our age group. And what I think they really wanted to see was something kind of cut from that, but set into more of a little bit more gritty. We wanted something more, maybe more throwback to the first Ninja Turtles movie, which came out back in '89.
Right.
So they're kind of looking for a throwback from that, and then Michael Bay came out and said, it's going to be aliens. It's going to be an alien movie. Internet just exploded, and he didn't help anything when he made a statement and just he attacked, not so much attacked the fanboys, he was very indignant. He just said, hey, everybody needs to chill out, okay? You haven't read the script yet.
Yeah.
And that just pissed everybody off more.
Yeah.
So Paramount has announced that they have pushed back the release date of the Ninja Turtles movie from the end of 2013 to the middle of 2014, but the pre-production has been halted indefinitely. I know a lot of the people working on it have been temporarily laid off, and they don't know if they're gonna pick when they're gonna pick it up again. So that's it's kind of a good omen for us who didn't want to see this movie go down.
I grew up a Ninja Turtles kid. I was a big time Ninja Turtles kid.
I had all the action figures.
Even above, Batman, Superman, X-Men, Ninja Turtles were what got me started. And that really kind of I hadn't really gotten back into the franchise at all. But when you see somebody kind of being like, hey, they're aliens from fucking outer space, and you're like, no, wait a minute, hold on. I mean, it's like picking on your kid brother. You can pick on your kid brother all you want and be like, Ninja Turtles were stupid or whatever, but then when somebody else tries to change it or tries to do something with it that gets you to start paying attention to it again, you get this real sense of no, wait, this is mine. You can't mess with that.
Right.
So that was one of the things that I think the biggest thing was in the reaction. I mean, I think if he was like, yeah, we're going to try to spin this in a little bit of a different direction. We're going to have them, because it would be hard to do this, or we don't really have the tie-in to do the mutagen, origin story or anything,
Right.
Any other excuse than being like, hey, you guys need to just calm down.
That
pissed me off too.
Right. I mean, I don't know how often he's dealt with angry fanboys. That's not how you address the fans of the franchise that you're targeting.
Yeah, big time. And I that one hit me a little hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. And the only reason that Paramount has given for the halting of it, because people have tried to reach Paramount for questioning, the only response they released is that they're halting it because of the script, which I think that speaks for itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's another shitty Michael Bay movie, is what it means.
Yeah, it's going to be another shitty Michael Bay movie.
Yeah.
Basically.
So
there's that. Have you ever watched the Avengers TV series, Steve?
Yes, I have. That's a great cartoon, man.
It is, yeah. It's on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It's streaming on Netflix. I watched the entire first season with my kid. We loved it. And they run a second season with it, but they announced this week the Avengers will not be renewed for a third season.
Oh, that's disappointing.
Well, yeah, but here's what they're going to do. They made the same announcement. They're scrapping the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is that series, and they're starting a new one called Avengers Assemble.
Huh. Okay.
So they're basically rebooting the cartoon series. I think they're going to make it a little bit more our target audience. I'm assuming.
That's fine.
I saw the publicity picture. So it's got all those guys plus the Falcon, who I guess is another Avengers character who you don't really hear very much of.
Yeah.
In the comic book. So they're going to throw him in there, and so that's coming out next season. So we'll check that out when that airs. Hopefully they'll stream that on Netflix.
Yeah, that's the I started when my daughter got into the cartoons and everything, started wanting to read more about superheroes. That was one of the things I started watching, that and the new Green Lantern rebooted cartoon. And both of those I thought were really good shows, really well done cartoons. So that makes me happy.
I have not seen that yet.
Yeah.
The Green Lantern animated
I think
series.
it's on Netflix. If you can track it down, watch it, because it is actually a good reboot. I dug it. It's it is kind of directed at an older audience, but it's in a lot of ways very reminiscent of an 80s cartoon. So,
okay, right on.
I
can deal with that.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I liked it.
I'm surprised it hasn't suggested it for me yet, because if you look at my instant queue, it's like Spider-Man, X-Men, Avengers, like all that, and then so forever like superhero stuff is popping up in my recommended queue.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'll go looking for it.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, before we move on to our segment, have you heard about the Revenge of the Ewoks?
No.
There's a man lives in Britain, Nicholas Reed. He was an actor. He played an Ewok. He's of course a He's a midget. And yes, I said midget. I didn't say little person. I said midget. Because I'm not changing the terminology every 2 months because somebody else was offended by it. He was an Ewok for Return of the Jedi. And he now faces 20 weeks in prison after exposing himself to a young female passenger on the bus and snapping pictures of her horrified reaction. This is the man that was one of our beloved Ewoks in Return of the Jedi, the cuddly teddy bear people.
I don't know, man.
Now blame.
I don't understand it. I mean, I guess different strokes for different folks. I don't understand how people get off on that.
I don't either, but like I said, different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
He's just so you know, he's also in Labyrinth and Sorcerer's Stone. Like, can you imagine, like, that happens to you, and then, the police come and arrest him, and you find out that he was one of the Ewoks?
Well, he's got to be packing to, walk up to somebody and be like, hey, look at this.
I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't. Right?
Maybe that was...
Maybe, like, the rest of his body is not proportionate. Maybe he's got, like, a man-sized dong that doesn't fit with the rest of his body.
That would be kind of awesome, though, because that would make it look that much bigger.
Awesome.
Yeah, that would make it look that much bigger. Like, it hangs down to your knees, although your knees are really short. So it's really not that long. It still hangs down your knees.
No, it's just average size, actually. My body's small.
Yeah. So, maybe that was it. Maybe it wasn't a look of horror. Maybe it was a look of intrigue.
Yeah. Well, Steve, before we close out this episode, we'll go ahead and finish up with our segment here. Last week we did a little bit of Shakespearean acting for our listeners. It was fun. I had a lot of fun with that.
Yes.
So we did a scene from a popular nerd-centric movie, but we performed it as Shakespearean actors, and we were going to see if anybody could figure it out. A couple people took some stabs at it, but Dave Clark was the only one that figured it out. No one was able to figure it out. So for those of you listening this week, it was a scene from The Dark Knight.
Yes.
There was a scene where Gordon and Dent were in, I think it was Dent's office, and they were discussing getting warrants on the banks where the moms were holding money. So it's a lesser known scene. So like I said, only one person figured it out. But this week I want to bring you something a little bit different. This is this week's Bill Shakespeare joint. We might do it regularly. We might just kind of do it here and there. It just depends on the response to it. But this week, it's a little bit less of a nerd-centric movie and a little bit more of a stoner comedy. But nonetheless, it's one of mine and Steve's favorite movies.
Absolutely.
So let me warm up here. Gotta go.
I'm gonna take the first line if you don't mind.
Okay, you got number one?
Yeah.
Okay, I had a feeling you were gonna go that route with it. Okay, so I'll be guy number two. And this is should you give him any information about these two characters?
Nope, let's just roll right into it.
Let's roll right, okay. All right, cue the Shakespeare music, Steve.
All right. Well met, sir. A query. Didst thou lay hands upon mine instruments of percussion?
Nay.
Most strange, for it seems that my percussionary instruments were recently disturbed.
Strange indeed. Of this I know nothing.
I shall ask thee again. Didst thou lay hands upon my instruments?
Oh!
I know that thou hast verily laid hands upon my stick of percussion, for like that of a broken cup, it possesses missing chip.
Thou art violently carried away from reason. Dost thou not know that of which he speaks? Thou should find himself heedy with medicine.
Find yourself fucked, sir. It is known that thou hast laid hands upon mine instruments. I wish to hear from thy mouth form the words of admission.
Remove thyself from thy person, sir. Thou may take this as a warning before I perform a roundhouse to thine posterior.
Thou must sweareth upon the life of thy mother that thou hast not laid hands upon my property.
I need give my word for nothing, sir.
This stands to reason that thou art a liar, for it is known that cop starts at the 4th hour. Where art thou going?
Upstairs, for I shall soon lay my testicles upon your instruments of percussion.
You are warned, sir. If thou dost this, I shall plant a knife into thy neck. Thank you. Acting. Thank you.
So that was this week's Bill Shakespeare joint.
So if you can figure it out, comment on the blog. Yeah, we're gonna set up a separate blog for the Bill Shakespeare joint. So if you know what it is, just come on into the website at NerdtopiaCast.com, get yourself registered, and just post which movie you think it is. First person wins.
Wins what? What do they win?
You win bragging rights. We'll give you a shout out on the show. We don't have anything to give you.
Yeah.
Not yet, but we're working on some merch and stuff. So we'll see. Maybe we'll tell you something in the future, but nothing right now.
We got nothing left to give.
It's in your pack of gum.
Yeah. Yeah, gum. Ha!
Gum. Yeah, gum. Old SNL reference.
Yeah.
Well, how are we doing on time there, brother? I know we ran over.
Yeah, we're over, but it's cool.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a good place to wrap it up. What do you say?
Let's do it.
All right, man, for NerdtopiaCast, I'm Doolin Dalton.
I'm Turd Ferguson.
Thanks for doing that with us, guys. Good night.
Find more free funny at www.nerdtopiacast.com and make sure to subscribe to our show on iTunes and Stitcher.
Yeah. I like cock.